Hello, this is the Chief Watchman. Today is May 19th, 2025. I'm bringing you a very, very time-sensitive and heavy message, and I need to get this out very quickly. This is one of the few videos I put out so far, so please excuse any issues I have. Due to the nature of this information, I am compelled to report this as soon as possible and ensure that all the information I'm giving is as accurate as possible to everybody. The proper authorities have been notified. Hopefully chains have already started and they've already started looking into these things, but I'm not going to waste any more time. Let me get into these top 10 things that have been given to me as terrorist attacks that will take place from the evening of May 22nd into May 23rd, 2025. These 10 items have been given to me by an end times prophet that the Lord is now standing up amongst us, if you're not aware of that. And prophets and end-time prophets are two totally different levels here, okay? So if you don't know what those are, please look them up, do some research later on that. But they are different. There are differences there. The first one I'm going to talk about, Beyonce's concert on May 22nd. I believe it's in Newark, New Jersey, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, so there will be dump trucks filled with fertilizer and other products to be used as a massive bomb. The explosives will be hidden under a layer of dirt and debris. These trucks will be driven by suicide drivers. They will ram the front entrance and then ignite the bomb. The goal for them is to burn the stadium to the ground, creating a mass death toll event. Not mass casualty, but a mass death toll. So they want to kill everybody that goes to her concert. And these trucks apparently will be driven by Iranian drivers that are in this country. The second one is another concert. This is Sting's concert, which was moved from the 23rd of May to the 22nd of May and is now targeted as well. And you guessed it, by dump trucks filled with fertilizer and other products to be used as a massive bomb. I'm going to go over it again. The explosives will be hidden under a layer of dirt and debris. The trucks will be driven by suicide drivers who will ram into the crowd and ignite the bomb. Now, Sting's concert is an amphitheater. I looked it up. It is outside. There'd really be nothing in the way of destroying this entire area. It's not that hard to get to, but you can see this thing coming from a ways off. Unlike Newark, where things can kind of get lost out there with all the different streets, there's only a few roads into this place. This thing could be seen coming. So whether this is a dump truck or a series of white box trucks coming up there, unidentified large vehicles like that would have to be stopped well in advance. And if you never served in the military and never been in Iraq or Afghanistan, you got to know a suicide driver. Their main goal is to take out a front gate somewhere, take out the base. If they can't get that way, if they get caught, they're just going to detonate right on spot. So trying to capture this or validate this is very hard, because simply stopping the truck would probably result in the detonation and the death of those stopping the vehicle. So care would have to be taken, and that's usually first responders in this case. Number 3, I'm going to keep going, guys. There will be, or already are, explosives mounted at the base of the Hoover Dam in order to create key spots, to damage key spots to cause catastrophic failure of the dam. Okay, so he didn't know if these are already there or they soon will be, but days are ticking by. This is the kind of place where you need to put something out a couple days in advance with a timer. You just can't take it in there by boat and drop it off right when you need it to go off. You need to get out of the way. You need to take your time, do a lot of reconnaissance. The enemy would have to do that. So I would say if they're not on there by now, they will be in the next day or two. And that's the Hoover Dam. So number 4, explosives on the Statue of Liberty in New York in order to blow it up. So I asked for more specifics on that. It will not be done by like RPGs, rock-propelled grenades from a boat or from drones. This is people coming onto the island carrying explosives, either by a boat that they bring in themselves at night and sneak onto the island somehow. But that one should be very easily stopped if you just keep an eye out. They could see them coming from a long way off, and keep checking the Statue of Liberty on a daily basis with dogs, and you'd be able to find that. Now again, all this stuff is coordinated to happen roughly the same time, the same day, the evening time of the 22nd into the night of the 23rd. They want people to be awake. They want people to see these things happen. So they're not going to be doing this at 3 o'clock in the morning. They may wait until the morning time for some of these to go off, but I think most of them are probably going to go off at the same time. Let's say 10 p.m. or 9 p.m. or something like that. It's got to be where everybody's awake and still watching these things. Okay, number 5. Drones. Here we go, drones finally. So drones will drop explosives on the roofs in the financial district of New York City, i.e. Wall Street. So drones are going to be dropping explosives onto the roofs. I'm not sure if these are one-way drones just going in and blowing up as they hit the roof, or they be going in, dropping off timed devices. But Wall Street is a very large area. There's a lot of buildings there, and just a single person on the roof could probably be able to find and destroy those things pretty easily. So you'd have to have a pretty large buildup of bombs delivered in order for something to happen on a building to bring it down if they're going to do it on the roof. I don't know what's on the roof. Maybe there's something there that could cause a catastrophic failure of the building, like in 9/11, but that's not for me to decide. I'm just putting the word out. All right, number 6, electromagnetic pulse attack, EMP. By means of a rocket fired from a barge from the Gulf of America, used to be Gulf of Mexico, it will travel down the Mississippi River into the Gulf of America and launch the rocket from there over the United States. Brandon Biggs had a video. He's a seer and watchman. He put a video out about this, I believe 2023. I watched it. I remember that. This end time prophet is saying this is now the time they're going to use it. Okay, this is now the time. All this is going to be well coordinated. They want all this stuff to go down on the same day, same type of hourly period. So it's a very hard thing to shoot down, number one. It's inside the United States. We don't have our anti-ballistic missiles that are going to be pointing outward on the east and west coast. Because China and Russia and Cuba, they're not looking into the Gulf of America here. So that'd be very difficult to destroy. Let's pray for its catastrophic failure, and then let God do his work. Number 7, I'll keep going, is poisoning of the drinking water supply along the Gulf Coast of the U.S. from Florida all the way to Houston, Texas. So here we have another Brandon Biggs word he put out at roughly the same time, 2023, I think, where he saw men going into the aquifers and into the water facilities and poisoning the water supplies with a biohazard, something that the filters, the water conditioning, the sanitation process would not be able to stop. I don't know if your home osmosis systems, OS systems would be able to stop that or not. I would say probably not. If it can get through the city water supplies filters, it's not a bacteria. This is a bioengineered weapon. It's different. Okay, this is different. Just think of all the groundwater that leaches into our water supply each year, and they keep finding these traces of different chemicals in our water supply that we're drinking. If it can't get that out, it's definitely not going to get a bioengineered weapon that's been designed for this purpose. So, and this, they would instantly turn off the water as soon as this was found. So you could have no water from the Florida all the way to Houston, Texas, just being shut off with no notice, being told not to drink water. It takes so much time to get that word out. A lot of death could occur. So let's pray over that. Number 8, San Francisco, Golden Gate Bridge. Okay, explosives will be planted on the wires of the Golden Gate Bridge. So they're targeting the wires here, not the base supports on the bridge here. That's too hard to bring down, but the wires are much easier. Those wires are not small. They're big enough. I remember seeing them. I think they were in a James Bond movie back in the early 90s where they drove a motorcycle up these wires. So if they can drive a motorcycle up a wire like that, it's wide enough, they're pretty good size. So if they destroy those cables, they can actually bring it down. He says this is being done by North Korean soldiers or agents that are in the country, and they're proxies. They're working on behalf of China here. So China's going to keep their hands clean, and North Korea is going to get all the blame for this in the end. Again, I would say this is something that could easily be found and stopped, especially if you put some eyes on that bridge on a regular basis. Number 9, let's keep moving here. I'm running out of time. Number 9, attack on train sets moving nuclear waste. So, what does that mean? Well, that describes the railway system in the U.S. that we use to transport our nuclear waste. Yes. Yes, we transport our nuclear waste via rail cars in the U.S. We take it from our nuclear weapons facilities and other locations I don't need to go into. We transport it by rail to the dumping locations, okay, which I am also not going to talk about. So these are armored cars, more or less. They're specially designed not to have leaks. Even if the train were to derail, it would not break open. That's what if they flipped over on their side, they would not break open. They're designed not to do that. Now, I'm not sure if that would hold up or not, but now unless you hit that thing with a box truck full of explosives as it's coming across a crossing point, or you drop some bombs on it from a drone, that's a different story. I don't know how that would work. Either way, if you hit it with a box truck and blow it up, it would probably derail it, causing a massive nuclear catastrophe, and make an entire area uninhabitable for, well, years and years and years and years. So it could be decades. I know Brandon Biggs had a video about that as well, about he saw a city being with a bioweapon going off, to where a dirty bomb, he said, going off, not bio, a dirty bomb going off that made the entire city uninhabitable. This could be that, okay? You just don't know. If I was a bad guy, I'd probably wait until it got near a very large habitable area before I did this. Finally, number 10, it's the worst of them all, and that is a Russian nuclear submarine is currently, so this is something that is right now, this submarine is currently within American territorial waters. It is waiting along the west coast, he says. I asked for more specifics. He said, okay, he came back to me a little while later and he said, okay. He said it is in the Oregon Heights on standby. He said the sub carries nuclear warheads on its torpedoes. They have underwater targets that will cause an underwater earthquake along the west coast. Their aim is a massive tsunami. It's a two-prong aim, really. One is a massive tsunami that will cause large-scale destruction up and down the majority of the west coast. California, Oregon, Washington, they're already at this location, he says. They already have their orders and are simply waiting for the final time to launch. So let's pray someone in the U.S. Navy can locate and destroy them. This is a large area, so the Lord's guidance will be needed for the U.S. Navy here. And in addition, again, I'm running out of time, they've already tested this in Hawaii, he said. They tested it on the volcanoes, which is why the volcanoes are currently erupting off of Hawaii. They know it'll work. They also think that the big bonus here and the final end game is that they can make those earthquakes continue and be catastrophic enough to where it will affect the Yellowstone volcano and make it erupt. And if they can do that, then 2/3 of the U.S. will be wiped out, and the U.S. will no longer be a world power, and no longer be able to interfere with Russian and China issues. So I remember the unknown prophet, Fred Watkins, had a vision of this back in January, February, where he described a U.S. Navy destroyer destroying a cruiser or a destroyer destroying a sub as it opened its hatch to launch. It was able to destroy it with the depth charges he saw in his vision. And once the sub was sunk, it fell off the continental shelf, I think he said. And he described the warhead was armed. And since it was armed, it detonated as it fell off the shelf. And as the sub imploded from the pressure, the warhead went off. So let's pray that any detonation from that type of event would produce no devastation or tsunamis for our west coast.